Hey guys, just wanted to have a conversation about repair versus replace. I know we've talked about this in the past, but summer is coming. I know I'm still wearing a sweatshirt. It was really chilly this morning here in Kansas, but it's just a matter of weeks before summer is upon us. And when that happens, chaos breaks loose and the money starts flowing and it's all good. But the bottom line is we're going to have a lot of repair versus replace conversations with our clients because we find a lot of leaky evaporator coils and dead compressors and units with multiple problems. Maybe the contactor's pitted real bad and the fan motor's out and it's dirty and the evaporator coil, there was no filter in the unit when you got there. All these different problems. So instead of just automatically going into your repair, it's just important to offer to replace. It doesn't mean you got to push anything on them. I'm not trying to push anybody into buying anything, but I just want them to be informed and let them make the decision. So I know we've talked about this in the past, once again, but some of the things that you want to discuss when it comes to repair versus replace is just explain the most important changes that are happening in our industry and kind of forecast the trends, where the market's going, identify important developments both in your market and beyond. And some examples of that would be the phase out of R22 and the cost related to the phase out and availability as well. So also I went to the Train Dealer meeting a few weekends ago in Kansas City, and they informed us, and you guys may have already heard about this, but it's the fan energy rating is coming. And that is coming July 3rd, 2019. And what that is it calculates watts per CFM. And if the furnace doesn't hit, the blower in that furnace doesn't hit a specific rating on that, then, they can't sell that furnace anymore, basically. So what that means to us is we're probably, PSC motors are probably pretty much going away. It's just going to make sense for people to go with the DC volt motor, the constant torque or the variable speed. So when that happens, that leaves us basically forecasting that trend. That kind of, there's a little bit of sense of urgency with that. If they want to not spend quite so much on a furnace, you need to have that conversation with them. And it's, like I said, you're not trying to sell them anything, just informing them. So a few more important dates to remember, I just wrote down here on my piece of paper, is January 2010 was when manufacturers could no longer ship the R22 units. Of course, we know that they all found the loophole in that and started shipping the dry nitrogen units. January 1st, 2020, as of right now, is still the date for the phase out of the R22. I'm sure they're going to stick with that. I'm sure that's going to happen. We've got enough replacements at this point to survive, no problem, moving away from the R22. January 1st, 2015 is when heat pumps had to be 14 SEER or higher, and that was at least in our area. I know that changed, I believe, in different areas at different times, and I'm in Kansas. So January 23rd, 2006 was the phase out of 10 and 12 SEER units. That's going back quite a ways. That's when we all had to switch to the 13 SEER. Does anybody remember the conversations that was going around the R410A when that first came out? We were told that you could not have an open system for any amount of time because that oil, the polyol ester oil, is going to absorb moisture from the air, and that will completely contaminate your new unit. And there was just, everybody, I know we hated the idea of that happening, but the bottom line is it just wasn't that big a deal. We have not had that problem. We haven't had a bunch of contaminated systems. So it's the same thing with all these new refrigerants. I say there's a lot of hype and talk around it right now, but I just don't think it's worth worrying about. Just we'll use what's available at the best price that is compatible with the R22, and I think we'll be fine. So also in the repair versus replace, you want to talk about the impact of those developments on cost and customer demand. So that includes current pricing and the future pricing and availability. So it may not make sense just to replace the evaporator coil and switch over to a different refrigerant. But I'm not saying don't give them that option. Give them the option. Give them the option with a coil and condenser and just switching over to upgrading everything. But with this new fan regulation coming into effect, offer a furnace also. It just doesn't hurt just to give them options. Let them choose. It's not up to you. It's their home and it's their money. If they don't want it, great. We'll do whatever they want, but give them the option. So explain how these trends have briefly opened a market window. And that's the absolute truth. Like I said, there's going to be this little window of opportunity to get a furnace for a lesser price because you don't have to go two-stage. You don't have to go variable speed. But that's coming. So if they want to get in before that happens, it might help them make a decision quicker. Or they may just want to repair it and wait for a few more years and go ahead and get the variable speed two-stage. And that's great. It's whatever they want. So you always got to keep the customer's best interest in mind. What's in their best interest? It may be to repair it. Even if it is to repair it, if it's a high enough ticket repair, we're going to offer them some other options because it doesn't make a lot of sense to invest $800 into a 13-year-old system. But, if they're moving in a year and they're not interested in even talking about replacement, great, we'll make the repair. So each individual case, I guess, is pretty much, it's its own case. It just depends on what the customer wants. But think about these trends and use them to your advantage so you can inform your customer. Inform the customer so they can make an informed buying decision. So best of luck, guys. Hope you have a great summer. Make lots of money. Go make money.